Okay, ID, we are live now. Chisom, we are live. So you can go ahead with the introductions. Why I excuse you both.
Okay, that means we would be starting a bit earlier than 6, but than 5 p.m., right?
Yeah,
This
it's
is
just
4
4
p.m.
minutes to.
Okay, that is fine. Chisholm, are you ready?
Uh, yes, we could start now.
Great. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Tech Talk, proudly organized by Tech Tribe. My name is Idore Inope, and I will be your host and moderator for today's session. Tech Talk is actually a platform where we connect with industry professionals, innovators, and thought leaders to explore emerging trends, share practical insight, and empower the next generation of technology professionals. Today's topic is both timely and very important. That is, the future developer skills that will matter in 2026 and beyond. The title again, the future developer, skills that will matter in 2026 and beyond. You would agree with me that technology landscape is actually evolving faster than ever. Artificial intelligence, cloud computing, cybersecurity, automation, low-code platforms, and emerging technologies are reshaping how software is built and how developers create value. As developers and aspiring tech professionals, one question continues to arise. What skills should we be investing in today to remain relevant tomorrow? To help us answer this question, we are honored to have with us an experienced software developer and technology educator, Chizom Chima. Chizom has built extensive experience across software engineering, web development, programming instruction, and modern JavaScript technologies, including React, Express, MongoDB, and SQL. We are delighted to have her join us today to share her perspective on the future of software development and the opportunities that lie ahead. Chisholm, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for the beautiful introduction. And of course, this topic is very important, especially in the tech scene we are seeing currently in 2026. And I'm very excited to be here to talk about all of this or answer all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
For those meeting you for the first time, Chisholm, can you tell us a little about your journey into software development and
Yeah.
what continues to excite you about technology today?
Yeah. So the way I entered into the tech world was not the conventional way, like I didn't go to school to study computer science in the university. It was
Okay.
basically something uh, I had curiosity about. So curiosity was what I would say led me to venturing into this particular field. So immediately after school, during the NYSC period, I became very excited about technology, and I found myself, studying, on my own, learning as much as I could, absorbing as much as I could. And before you know it, I was able to build full stack projects. Back then, I built several projects and then put my foot out there, tried applying for jobs. And that was how I found myself, in the full time building software. And from that time till now, I've taken part in several, projects, very big projects, projects that affect lives, affect nations. And that's one thing that is beautiful about technology, the ability to use, software to solve problems that, global needs. and especially in Africa where we have several problems that we could easily use technology to solve. And because of that, it makes me excited because I'm always solving problems. I'm seeing people using my product, and I'm seeing how it's impacting life. Definitely, it makes you happy. Uh, that's one of the things that makes me excited to constantly build.
That's a nice one. That's a very nice one. From
Yes,
curiosity to building
yeah,
impactful projects, and people are now benefiting from it.
yes,
That's quite an excitement already.
yes,
That's a
yeah.
nice one.
Don't
That's
worry,
very
I
good.
also went back to school. Oh. I went back to
Oh,
school
wow.
to get, yeah,
Okay.
now I have a master's now in computer science. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Wow. That's lovely.
yeah.
That's great. I would still have to ask you some more questions, please.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. The theme of today's discussion is the future developer.
Mm.
When you look ahead to 2026 and beyond, what major changes do you see shaping the software development industry?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's a no-brainer for the developers out there right now. There has been a very drastic shift. Previously, as a developer, you were paid mostly to write proper code, to write code that solves certain problems. And
Mm,
we were obsessing a lot about writing clean code. We had to do a lot of research to come up with the best way to solve a particular problem. But now we have AI. I remember when AI came out, and I was really scared when ChatGPT came out, and I was asking questions and it was answering me. And then I
okay.
used it. I told it to, solve something for me, and it did it. Something that I would have gone through, going through Google, Stack Overflow. There's a
Uh,
whole and then ChatGPT just did it, quickly. And that was when I was
mm,
like, whoa, this is crazy. How can something that I have, struggled all this while to understand, all of a sudden there's this machine that seems to understand and do it way better than me. Not really better, but at least it was able to produce really fast results, and it writes code really fast. So right now we saw that trend and we were scared, but if only we knew what was coming in front, because now we have way more models. We have more models that has even been trained for coding specifically, and you would see that these agents are able to write code with a bit of context, right? So it kind
mm,
of makes you begin to ask yourself, is what is now really your job as a software engineer, you see? And I see that there is now a shift. We are no longer just there to write code, because now we have some machines that can even write certain code faster than you. But
okay.
we are now, I see us now like orchestrators. So moving on, we are always going to be like, the people who are architecting software. So
Mm,
you work alongside AI, and you're always going to be there will always be like a human in the loop that is always you are going to be like the human in the loop that makes sure that these AIs are doing the right things, and you're also the one architecting and making sure and designing the systems to make sure that your systems are scalable and able to withstand certain things that could happen when your application goes live. So yeah, we are no longer coding now is no longer just about writing
mm,
code, because now we have AI tools that help us to do this. Now you have to now be able to collaborate with AI, and be like
okay.
that human in the loop that helps architect, design, and also help AI to solve certain problems, because AI is not yet there yet. It's not perfect because it lacks context sometimes, and sometimes it
Okay.
hallucinates. So it needs you as an engineer in between those loops, giving it the right direction to move.
Mm,
So yeah, that's how I think. You know, in the future, I've given several talks trying to make sure engage developers to make them see how they could incorporate using these agents when building to help them, code faster and bring out
Mm.
better results. I think
Wow,
I've had it. Yes.
that part,
Yeah.
when you said how ChatGPT came up, and then you were a bit confused what's going to happen. Is it going to take away my my job as a
So now
developer?
I think we are all asking that question, right? I think that's the thing with new technology. When something comes, you're like, what's this? What's going on? And I don't think it's just developers as well. Even artists, people who do graphics, as in different
Mm,
things, different sectors now are really being
mhm.
impacted by AI.
Exactly.
It's really taken away several reasons, but we would. I think it just means that we would have to, learn fundamentals and make sure that you are able to incorporate it into what you're doing. If not, you would be left behind.
Excellent. Excellent. In fact,
Yeah.
I grabbed one important statement you made, that
Yes.
despite the advancement of the AI technology, you
Yeah.
still understand that AI doesn't have it all. There are some
Yes.
stuff that, in fact, from my experience with the artificial intelligence, I understand that it is also learning from humans. It is
It
learning
is.
from us. So
Mm,
there is no way for me as a developer. I'm not actually a developer. I like what you have said, that
yeah.
the important thing is for you to know what and what to do, to be able to
Yes.
guide it to make your work quite easy. That's great.
Yes.
So there's nothing to be worried about, Abby.
Yeah. Nothing to be worried about for now. For
Okay,
now. Yeah,
okay,
but
that's
we'll talk about most of those things later. So I don't want to
okay.
jinx. Mm,
All right, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I still have some more questions for you. And the next
yeah.
question is, what technical skills do you believe will become absolutely essential for developers over the next 5 years? What are those skills you think that are quite very important that developers should have that
Mm.
will be very relevant in the next 5 years?
So for me, I think ability to predict this is not. I don't want it to look like I am like predicting. This
Mm,
is what is going to be there. This is not what's going to be there. Things are changing rapidly, but one
mhm.
thing we should always prioritize. What this AI bubble or what is happening right now has made us realize is that you need to make sure you understand the fundamentals. You have to go back to your fundamentals as a software engineer. So, like that analogy I gave previously, where we said, we work now with AI agents, you act as the human in the loop, making sure that these agents are doing the right things because obviously they make mistakes and they don't have the complete picture of what you're trying to build. They don't have complete context. And so you're the one
Exactly.
that is meant to guide, right? So now if you do not know the fundamentals, how do you guide these tools? So right now I would advise any software engineer out there, to start going back to their fundamentals, understanding every single thing in depth. And luckily, now that we are in the AI age, we can be able to do research faster. Back then, you know how you have to go, the amount of research you have to do to be able
Exactly.
to even understand or solve one problem. But now with AI, we can research faster. It should not make you dumber because the problem is one of the issues is that if you rely too heavily on it, it kind of you are now giving the all the intelligence to the machine, and now you as a human is not as smart. So now going back to the fundamentals is key. Understanding software architecture. You need to understand software architecture, which is still part of the basics. Go back to understanding software architecture, go back to understanding system designs, database designs. You go back to understanding, how to build maybe distributed systems, testing and quality assurance, all of these things, going back to the basics and the fundamentals. Even understanding some developers, especially now with the advent of AI, that didn't really go through, the rigorous process. You just see them, we call them vibe coders. I don't want
Hmm.
to shade any vibe coder, but Sometimes when you don't understand the fundamentals, you tend to build systems that may not be able to scale. And right now, I believe the most essential skill is going back, getting the fundamentals, being able to think, and guide your AI properly to do the right thing. I keep saying guide the AI because I don't want any developer right now to say they want to build on their own. You have to incorporate AI, no matter how much you try to run away from it. So you have
Mm.
to accept that this technology is here and look for how you could make it work with you. So yeah, I think I hope I answered that question properly.
Yes, you have. You have. At
Yes,
least you gave a list of those technical skills that the
yes,
developer should have.
yes,
To be able to embrace the changes and be able to be better in the next come 5 years. Thank you
yes.
very much. Thank you,
Thank
Chisholm.
Yeah, no problem.
So, moving forward, beyond programming languages and framework, what non-technical or soft skills will distinguish exceptional developers from
Mm,
average ones? What are those non-technical skills or soft skills?
mm. Yeah. Okay. So I think I touched on that a bit in the previous conversation in the previous question where I said that you need to understand the fundamentals. So, but apart from programming languages, yeah, I understand you need to understand a bit of, I would not say a bit of, you need to know how to communicate effectively. You need to know how
Okay.
to communicate effectively because you're going to be working in teams of not just developers, you're going to be working with designers, you're going to be working with your project managers, DevOps, different sections of the software team. So you need to be able to know how to communicate effectively. You also need to know how to collaborate. So you cannot say, okay, because I can code, you are like you're the best coder out there. You know it all. So you need to know how to collaborate, and that includes communication. You need to also understand business requirements right now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we are now going beyond. Like I said, I feel
Yes,
so. The
yes,
thing
yes.
with this is that because it's removing it's taking away the coding that has always been the developer's thing. We now
Okay.
have to be able to understand systems beyond just coding. You need to understand systems holistically and
Mhm.
being able to communicate what the business requires and effectively build that business, whatever the business requirement is something that is fundamental. So being able to collaborate, understanding business requirements, being able to
Mm.
solve problems for the business people,
Mhm.
being able to understand system architecture fully, which goes
Mhm.
down back to that basics we spoke about, and constantly, learning. You have to be constantly learning. So because
Mm.
things are going to be obsolete, and which means you have to up your game. So if you were a front end developer before, try and start learning a little bit of back end. If you
Mm.
know full stack, start understanding products, start understanding project management, so that you have a complete understanding of products. So that when the business, when you are building solutions, it is solutions that are really impacting businesses. Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to build is something that's going to impact businesses. So if what you're building is not impactful, how do
Mhm.
you how would you wouldn't that's just what makes you stand out, from the rest. Yeah. So that's a lot of a lot of conversation because right now AI handles all the implementation details. So we need
Mm.
skills like leadership and critical thinking, creativity, communication, and all of that to be able to bring products to life.
Thank you. That's quite inspiring.
Yeah.
Yes. Recently I understand that there are a few prompts, a few very important while you're communicating with the AI. Maybe let's say ChatGPT or the other
Mm,
ones. I understand there are prompts. You don't just tell them things casually, and then expect the best response. I
Yeah.
understand there are a few very important prompts that you need to put into work while you are communicating, and that becomes very vital soft skill, which you have
Yeah.
already mentioned. Communication is very key.
Yes.
Again, you've also mentioned another very important thing: being able to collaborate, and then again being able to develop that business mindset, because I believe strongly that if one has devoted time and energy and technicality into developing something that will be impactful for other people, you should be able to integrate that into the marketing system, make profit
Yeah.
from it. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Chisholm. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my next question is, there are countless frameworks and technologies available today, countless of
Mm.
it. So, how should developers decide what to learn and what to ignore?
Hmm. Um. Yeah. So I think this question is very it's a very strong and important question because one thing you would find yourself as a developer is you find out that most of the time we a lot of things are happening with tech space. So I remember when
Hmm,
it was Web3, everybody was trying to learn Web3 before you know AI came, So
hmm,
so many trends. And if you try keep chasing these trends, you're going to get burnt out. It's not easy
hmm,
to sometimes you may even feel frustrated because maybe while you're even learning this one, a new framework is out, you see. So at the end of the day, the way to just filter out that noise, they are all relevant. Everything is important.
hmm.
Every framework or software technology is important, right? But the way you
Okay.
should filter it out is this framework now that I'm looking at, would it be able to solve a real problem in my immediate environment? Why I am saying in my immediate environment is because when you're in Nigeria, you know how it is. So you have to look at your environment. So speaking for Nigerians, but let's say you're in the UK, you look at the technologies that seems to be used quite often within your environment and is solving a lot of problems in your environment because different environments um, are different. So you should also that should be able to influence your decision, right? The next thing you should be able to ask is there industry adoption for it? Like, what is are there many developers using it? Is it something that okay, if it's able to solve a problem, are there many developers using it? Because if many developers are using it, it should be very easy for you to find help whenever you're using such framework. So meaning when you
Hmm,
go out to ask any question in Google, there should be like a community of developers who are there to help you or hold your hand when you're solving that problem. And then the next thing is, does it align with your career goals? So, do you want, let's say, first of all, the first question you're definitely going to be asking yourself is, um, what is it I really want to solve? Like, what is it I really want to do? Technology is vast, it's very vast. So, there are people that
hmm,
want to go into security. So, you can't say, maybe I'm doing cybersecurity now, you are learning something that is not even related to it, right? Or you're doing DevOps, you're learning something else. So, that framework, is it in line with your career goals, your objectives, your career objectives and goals? So, those are the things you need to ask yourself. And I think the last one, um, you should ask yourself is that framework or technology I'm learning, is it transferable? So for example, if you learned maybe Python in the back for building maybe backend systems, it should be easy for you to maybe now move a little bit towards maybe data AI, because now you have Python knowledge, right? So is that your knowledge, that thing you've learned, is it transferable, to maybe a different uh use case,
technology.
right? Yeah,
Hmm,
because at the end of the day, all these trends are built on top of what you've already learned. So once you've learned one thing very well, it should be very easy for you to very easy for you to transfer those skills to something different that is very for maybe due to the trends that come up, maybe now that it's AI, someone that was maybe using Python before can easily just transition, into AI development. So yeah, AI engineering. So that's just it. These are the questions you should be able to ask yourself. So I can't really tell you, this is the technology to learn. This is not the technology to learn. But
Mm,
these are questions you ask yourself depending on your situation. That
okay.
should be able to help you decide the best technology or framework to work with.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow, that's a lot. Okay, so now I believe that JavaScript technology
Mm, yeah.
is one such technology you are quite extensively, like you've been extensively using, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
I have.
so I just want to ask, do you believe that JavaScript will remain dominant?
Mm, okay.
And maybe what technologies within the JavaScript ecosystem should developers pay attention to?
Okay. So thank God we just spoke about the last point. So the reason why I worked in
Exactly.
JavaScript at the time was because I had seen, you see, the things we spoke about. I had looked at my environment. I saw that this is
Mm,
something that would be easy for me to pivot, right? Remember, I
okay.
said I did not have any technology experience. I was coming
Mm-hmm.
from, I didn't have a laptop until that point when the first time I held a laptop, I started searching for how to become a software engineer. So um, at that point, I cared more about how to break into my the technology space in based on what I was seeing in my environment. So it was very easy for me to just pick JavaScript because back then there were a lot of Node.js jobs, there were a lot of front end jobs, there were a lot of back end jobs were using Node.js, and so that was what's kind of influenced the reason the technology I picked. And I have been able to also work with several other technologies like with Python and maybe a bit of .NET. But of course, JavaScript is something that would definitely
Okay.
be dominant because it's like the language of the web. The only thing is that you won't just rely on JavaScript. You would right now we are using a lot of TypeScript now, so TypeScript is now the has become the requirements for professional development. So
Oh, really?
I think for it so for someone that's still using JavaScript, try to just use TypeScript and learn how to integrate AIs using JavaScript. Learn modern front end architecture if you're a front end engineer. For then I will always advise learn full stack. Just learn the full stack.
Mm,
JavaScript. Don't be tied down to just front end or back end. So just make sure you're constantly learning the new things. And the good thing with JavaScript as well is that it's a language that you use almost everywhere, both for mobile development, for um, even in AI now. Most of these packages now
okay.
they are all creating JavaScript wrappers that
Mm,
methods that help you build AI applications. So yeah, we JavaScript is definitely there to stay
mm,
at least as much as I know. But yeah,
mm-hmm.
it's still one of the most used languages, especially here in Nigeria. So it's also a very good way to break in as well. Um,
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So the point is, from all you said, JavaScript cannot be dominant. Like you said, there is another one you mentioned, which
all right, mention
is
Python.
exactly. These are very important information that upcoming developers and our viewers joining us today should learn and be
Mhm.
able to grab such very important message. Thank you very much, Chizo.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, yeah, so let's look at another. Quite curious about this other question. What role do cybersecurity and secure coding practices play in the future of software development?
Yeah, so right now because of vibe coding, like we described earlier,
Okay.
because of vibe coding and many people just building without having context of or understanding of software in general, definitely security has become a problem.
Mm,
Seeing some people this is online. You could see when, there was a time when people were pushing for vibe coding. So meaning you don't need to learn how to code. You just come, use an AI agent and build whatever you want to build. And it worked for some people, but then because they did not understand the fundamentals, they are able to they ship code that is not secure, right? So to be honest, right now security can no longer be treated as an afterthought, right? It is
Exactly.
now something that we must always think of before while coding and even before you start. So you try as much as possible to ensure that authentication and authorization is properly handled in your system, that your API design is very secure, and that your data is protected. You see, and you check for those small nuances, little vulnerabilities, and that's occurring that usually occur whenever you build software. So to be honest, cybersecurity right now is very important. Everyone needs to be security conscious. So many
Mm.
applications right now are beginning to get hacked or brought
Mm.
down due to the fact that these security vulnerabilities were not really considered at the point of development. And now that there is now AI engineering, we are now even seeing newer forms of security risks. So yeah, there's even there's now prompt injection. So now
Oh, wow.
you could build a system, you could build an AI system, and then maybe a hacker is able to like prompt that system to be able to give some um some sensitive data that you don't want other people, those people to know. So yeah, you have to be very very there due to AI, new security risks has come into play. So you have to also keep yourself informed. You need to make sure that you're learning everything, the newest trend or the newest security trend, right? So yeah, security cannot be overemphasized. The need of security cannot be overemphasized right now.
Seriously. Seriously. Imagine building a very sound, credible technology, a software that solves people's problem and is quite needed in the market. And then because you were not very uh, sure, or you were not doing your cyber security packaging for that particular software, and then it is hacked. And how that makes it very relevant. So and I
Yeah,
believe that viewers are also learning this. So while you're learning software development, you should also learn quite a bit of much of cybersecurity and secure coding. Thank you
yeah,
very much. Thank you.
exactly.
Yeah. And presently, we have a couple of persons online. Some are actually technologists who have been into the system of developing software, and we have others who aspire to learn. Just like you started, you were not in the career, the software development, computing, and all of that, but you developed interest. And we have a lot of people, who wishes to go into software development. So
Yep.
and they are learning. So many aspiring developers struggle presently
Mm,
to get their first opportunity despite learning to code. So,
yeah.
what practical steps would you recommend for building a portfolio that attracts employers? I believe you must have probably experienced.
I did. I experienced it. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
let's hear from you.
I think we all experienced it, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
okay.
easy. And I think it's even worse now because AI now
Mm.
has now taken away that role that junior developers used to take. You see, so before back then, you learn. After learning, you apply for maybe internship, and then
Mm.
through internship you are able to navigate and get your foot in the door. And once you are
Mhm.
able to get that first job, it should be easier to climb from there. So yeah, it
Okay.
was hard, but it's harder now because AI now has removed that need for junior developers, and it is now
Mm.
way harder for junior developers to be able to get that full step in, that first leg into the door. But I believe it's still very possible. Um, it's still very possible. Why I say so is because I have some people that I have been able to mentor, and they have been able to like break in even despite the AI, what we are having with AI. So first thing I would anybody anybody that has ever come in contact with me, the first thing they will notice I always say is build projects, build projects, build projects, build
Mm.
projects. I don't want to hear just be building projects because same thing
Mm.
with me, right? I didn't have any I didn't have any formal education, anything about it. But I was able to learn, and as I was learning, I was building projects. I was building projects. I built full stack application. We did like who told me
Mm.
to build full stack applications, right? I was building full stack applications upon full stack applications, and I had like at least four of them that were live.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
I'll host them on Parcel, host them on on maybe something like host my backend on Hostinger, no, not Hostinger, but one of them back then. I think
Mm.
Render, and then I'll use Vercel for my front end. So I'll back then I was building systems, right? But now you have to now work harder because everybody's doing relatively that. So now you need to make sure that you build two, at least three. Let's just say
Mm.
three special projects. Try and
Okay.
build projects as you're learning, be building projects. And when I mean projects, I'm not asking you to build tic tac toe or go and build because I told you to build projects, you now go and build a clock or
What's
like
anything?
uh, look around you, look around you, and see what kind of real business problem can I solve. With
Mm.
technology, it could be maybe one pharmacy that is near your house, and all this pharmacy around you, and you say, oh, how can we be able to build something that they're able to track their stock, they're able to track what is going in and coming out and how much they are selling. You see, you could sit down, and once you're able to think business on the business wise, with the thought of impacting to businesses, that's the main. You have to tweak your brain to be able to think about solutions for businesses, real solutions for businesses. And then when you think about that, you build a prototype about it, then make sure you deploy it live. Even if you cannot pay for domain or for this, use some free resources, free hosting resources. And then after
Okay.
you do that, now make noise. Try as much as possible to make noise on LinkedIn.
Okay. Let people see you. Let them see what you can do.
You cannot afford to be doing these things in secret. Make noise about it. Yesterday, I
Exactly.
built this. While I was building, I had this problem and I was able to counter this problem. You see, like build something substantial, and when you make noise about it like that, people would engage, people would see that you're trying. And most of the time when you send your CV, recruiters will definitely check your LinkedIn. And if they check your
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn and they're not seeing you doing something,
Mm.
when or they go into your LinkedIn and they say, oh, this person has been actively, building. Maybe what you're even building is even in line with what the problem they have. You see,
Mm-hmm.
now you've given yourself an extra point. You see, so these are the things that you need to make sure um, you do. Make sure you're documenting yourself, put yourself out there, post what you have been building. Then, so also you could um there's a point I'm trying to raise, but it's leaving me. But then just make sure that you're out there. Just and then if if there is any room for mentorship within you, try and
Mm.
mentor other people. Sometimes you
Okay.
will see some communities they need mentors. They need even if it's HTML, and it was just HTML that they were looking for. Put yourself
Mm.
out there, go and be a mentor there, so that now you're not giving yourself higher leverage. You're especially because you've not gotten that first job, but then
Okay.
you've built several projects. They are seeing you mentoring. So before you know, there's a point where there will be no space in your CV because you have so many things that you've been doing,
Oh,
extracurricular activities. Money is not
mhm,
coming yet, but you have a lot of extracurricular activities in your CV that would definitely give you a leg in. And maybe while in the process of me doing all these things for people, someone could just see you and bring you over. You know, when people say networking, people think is by just going to conference and
mm,
meeting people.
mm,
If I just met you if I went to a conference and I just met you, I've never done anything with you. Do you think what are the chances that you will even call me for something compared to if we were actively doing something together, maybe
together.
in a community, and we did something together, and from there they have already seen your skill. You people have done something together. Obviously, when something comes, the person will call you. Do you understand? It's different from, or you people just gathered in a space and you people sat down, listened to people, and you people left. You just greeted the guy, hi, hi, and then exchange contact. It's that contact, it would just be there. I do, unless you people have actually done something together and this person can has seen your impact and your skill. So these
Mhm.
are the things. Even if it means you building something for free for people, yeah, you see, I think my first job, I worked for the first 2 months for free.
Oh,
I just needed to be out there building something, right?
exactly. Exactly.
So you just have to work hard and get yourself in the door, and be relentless. Don't be conservative. Don't say, "Ah, I don't want to be out there." You have to be out there. You just have to work hard and push yourself. Once you greet someone, you say, hi, I'm a software, I can do this. you know, put yourself out there. So yeah, I think
Yes.
that's answers it.
This information is priceless.
It's quite hard to-
It's really priceless, seriously.
yeah.
And I believe that this would change the experience and the lives of developers and those who have already started coding. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you very much. I can't really thank you enough, and I really appreciate your
Yeah.
in-depth, explanation on things. So
Yes.
let's look at something a little bit different but very important.
Yeah.
We remote work has expanded opportunities globally. You know, how can African developers, Nigerians, Africans in general, position themselves to compete successfully in the international market?
Hmm. Yeah. I think what we said previously still counts, right? So you have to conquer your local where you are first before you can
Mm,
start thinking. Some people are lucky to, in break into the international space easily.
mm,
But one thing I still love about Nigeria is the fact that Nigeria still has there's still, like, well, I say the effect of AI is there, but it's not as intense as it is here in Nigeria, which means you still have the chance to, get internships and, break into the tech space easier compared to someone who is like maybe outside, because back there over there they have a lot of, experienced hands. So here, you could still break into the tech space, as a like a junior and then transition. So because
no,
these people, they are looking for experts, they are looking for expertise. So
mm,
the things you need to do to make sure that you get that is, improve your communication skills. You have, based on what we spoke about before, you have to build your communication skills. You have to also have to like build yourself online. I promise you, if you've done all those things we spoke about before, if you've done all those things I spoke about before, it'll be very
mhm,
easy for you to now break into this international space. So sometimes, because they too, when they are looking at your CV, they're looking at your LinkedIn as well. And now
no,
when they see, oh, this person has mentored, this person is a voice, this person is pushing uh, the economy of their, the helping other developers within their space, they would
mm,
definitely be more interested. They'll see that this person has Now, Nigeria has this bad reputation outside most of the time. So these things would
Mm.
give you an edge over, other people. So you have to, another way you can also go in is, through open source. You could look
Okay.
at open source contributions. If there is any interesting open source that you are interested in a niche you like, you could just connect with them, and through that you can meander your way in. Then you can also, while you are also working locally, try to improve certain skills like that communication skill we spoke about. Also
Mm.
learn how they operate. The way they collaborate there is quite different from the way it is here, so you have to try and
Okay.
learn the way those things are done over there, so when you're coming in there it's easier. So for example, it's not, you learn how to talk nicely, how to easily reach out to different cross-platform teams. So it should be very easy
Mm.
for you. You need to learn how those things work, understand agile methodology properly, and
Okay.
because some companies here may not be maybe they are not as big as those companies that you are hoping to get into there. So just look at how big teams collaborate, and that way it gives you a higher chance of working out there. Also build projects and put yourself out there. That's the summary of it. Build
Put
projects.
yourself
So
out there. I hope my
yes,
listeners are hearing this one. This one is skill. Put yourself
uh,
out there. Build
out there.
something, put it out there.
Yes,
Thank
don't
you.
be build and put yourself. Even me, I'm shy, but I'm an introvert, but I have to. I have to.
Uh, you are really doing well. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for
Yes.
this very important information you have passed.
Yeah. Thank
Globally, I believe that people will learn within Nigeria, within Africa, outside of Africa. Thank you so much,
you.
Chizo.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, from your experience in software development, I believe, and of course, you're also tutoring.
Mm.
Take people who are interested in tech. What common mistakes do you see young developers making today that could limit their growth in the future?
Mm. Okay. So I think we've touched most of it, right? That part where we spoke about sometimes you may be chasing new trends, you
Mm,
know, chasing a million trends, and you are burning yourself out, and these trends are not impacting anyone. So don't try as much as possible that when you're selecting the technology you want to work on, it aligns with your career goals, and it aligns all those things we spoke about, making sure it aligns
yes.
with our career goals, making sure
Mm,
that it's something that is solving problems in your immediate environment. One thing that why that thing is important is because imagine if you learned a very absurd language that nobody is using. Hmm? You will feel frustrated. You will feel very
mm,
frustrated. It's even better you build. It's even better you learn maybe a language that is not, that maybe you are not really a big fan of, but is in high demand,
mm,
and you get your leg in the door, and you feel that satisfaction that at least I am in the door, right? Compared to if you were just chasing something that is very obvious, you may likely not be able to practice it in your environment. So, chasing new framework is a problem. In not learning the fundamentals as well. That thing we said about learning computer science fundamentals. I had to go back learning fundamentals.
mm.
Understanding how to build the distributed systems and all of that stuff. So another thing is sometimes you find yourself in like tutorial hell. You
Hmm.
find yourself just learning and learning and learning, and you're not building anything. So try as much as possible while you're learning, be building, so that while you're building, you're seeing, it's beautiful, like you're seeing what you've learned, and you can see that it becomes a product, and it makes you really happy because people, you can easily say, this is something I built. Look at what I have built. You can show your friends, just send them a link and they can see what you built. So it's very, very interesting for you to build. And then also, avoiding or not learning, those communication skills, learning how to communicate, learning how
Mm.
to collaborate. Don't be a one-man army.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the mistakes young people
I
make.
do sabi.
As learn when you need to learn how to work in a team, and the way to work in a team, join communities, any opportunity that make yourself, so especially when you're in in the beginning. I think what I did uniquely for someone that was also not coming from a tech background, because I was so obsessed with I was obsessed with making myself so valuable, meaning anything, any opportunity I see, I'm open to it, you see. So there was a time I, like, sometimes I'll just tell people, okay, let me just build a website for you, you see. I'll just meet you. Oh, maybe a friend of mine has a business. I say, let me just build a website for you for free. I'll just build it for you. Just to practice and have this in that, oh, I have this website I built. See, I built this thing. It gives you a sense of satisfaction.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
just all these little things of communicating, joining communities, networking as much as possible, not relying so much on tutorials, you know building projects as live projects is something that you need to do as soon as possible. Also, start applying for jobs. You don't have to wait for when you're like the best your brain is, like when you think you are ready to start applying for jobs. Start applying for jobs as soon as possible. Keep applying for jobs every day.
Okay.
If even if they call you, nice. If they don't call you, okay. If they call you, it will even, when it's time for you to go for like an interview,
Mm,
there's this level of preparation you have to do. So it would even make
exactly.
you more grounded. So when you go to the interview and you don't even get in, even if they don't pick you, you've learned how to interview. Do you understand? So don't let
Mm-hmm.
maybe, in fact, when I'm going to an interview, as at that time I was going with an open mind. They can reject me, but at least I have learned new things, new questions that they usually
Exactly.
ask in interview. And then there's AI now, so you can even do mock interview with an AI agent, so that before your interview, so that by the time you get to to the interview, you're a bit ready. You are intelligent enough to make certain give certain answers. So yeah,
Exactly.
these are the things you need to do. Embrace AI as well. Incorporate AI in your learning, incorporate AI in your building to make you faster and give you higher. Now, right now, things are fast paced because of this AI. Things are fast paced, so you have to work. The time is against you. You have to work as fast as possible to get ahead of your peers. So I think that's it.
Thank you, Chisholm. These are very vital information that, I purposefully asked that question for emphasis. In fact, you have emphasized on this particular item that I asked in the previous conversation, but it was necessary because, there are still some people that would pick more information, like they would pick vitals, this particular summary you just made. It's
Yes.
important to engage yourself in all of those. It's important
Yes.
you leave, one of like the question which asks those mistakes that limits your growth, where you are just building an unnecessary software, or maybe you are you're developing something that is not practical, or something that has already existed and there is no innovation, no new this thing. You are just doing it for doing sake.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That's
taking
what
you.
I think. Well, what I like about technology is the fact that it makes you to think outside the box. Before
Exactly.
technology, I used to think a certain way, but now that I started, it makes you to think beyond, your current state, and that's what it is. You are being paid to think. You need to learn how to think. You see, so I
Mm.
think thinking is the number one skill. Critical thinking is the number one skill. Yeah.
Yes. And eh, I just read about the yesterday. I read about the Elon Musk SpaceX travel to space and all of that, and I see that SpaceX already has traveled much more than the entire human race have traveled to space. Is one company has
Yeah.
broken that record. So the point is, if you look at what he's doing, he brings in new knowledge, new ideas, things that are out of, you think out of the box, bring in something that has not existed. Those
Yes.
failures, you learn by practicing and creating. And he has been very successful. And that
Mm,
aligns with what our guest has emphasized. And
yeah.
thank you very much, Chisholm, for being quite open in this discussion.
Yeah.
We're nearing the end of our discussion, and permit me, permit me, to just, I want you to give us this last.
Uh, I'm losing you.
Are you with me?
Hello, I lost you for a bit. Please could you
Are you?
repeat? Okay, sorry.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, sorry, it's a poor network. And so,
Yeah.
just as a recap, this would be the last question for our
Okay.
guest. And I want her to put together everything for our learners, for upcoming software developers. Of course,
Mm,
for your students too, who probably more, who are also watching us online.
yes.
Yeah, so, looking ahead, what emerging technologies or trends should developers begin exploring today to prepare
Yeah.
for the opportunities of tomorrow? You have answered these questions, but give us this summary as emphasis. Thank you very much.
Okay. So first of all, we explained about earlier. We spoke about how AI has come and changed the game, right? So
Mhm.
looking at the things you should do is whatever you are doing right now. Just look at within that space you're in. In what ways can I, use AI that is the current trending thing, you know,
Mhm.
how do I transition or move with what's going on. So for example, if you're just a front end developer, I made that statement, try and learn back end so that you can become a full stack. And then if you're a full stack, you learn, maybe a little bit of AI engineering. If you are using Python before, beautiful, you could easily transition into like AI engineering. So right now, AI engineering is currently something that many software developers now are they not migrating? I would say learning a little bit of RAG, agentic systems, understanding a little bit about agentic systems, building agentic systems, and all of that could give you leverage now, so that even when you are applying, for jobs, because you're already a software engineer, it's very easy for you to just learn those little those topics that will just make you an AI engineer easily, right? So same thing is learning about agentic systems. It should be easy for you to transition as a software engineer to learn about agentic systems and how you could build your own agentic systems and even solve certain problems for businesses. You understand? Same thing as well as you can learn a bit of cloud and infrastructure, learning a bit of DevOps. So these are all things that we all need to know in this generation. And then we need to also master architecture, software architecture, and learning as much as possible about software architecture and the fundamentals of software engineering. All of these things are going to give you an edge, and open you up for global opportunities. And then finally, apply for jobs, build projects, and apply for jobs, build projects and apply for jobs. That's my final. Um, uh, that's all I would say is the things that you can do to improve your, chances. So the trend right now is AI engineering. So try as much as possible to get into the AI engineering space.
Thank you very much, Chizom Chima,
Yes,
for your time and valuable insights. I'm
yes,
grateful. We are
all right.
grateful as a family. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Yeah.
Yes, and I believe that our guest has shown us the perspective that current software developers and upcoming software developers should have on the future of software development, emerging technologies, AI, career growth, and the skills developers need to thrive. Certainly, we have learned a lot today. To everyone who joined us today, thank you for being part of another impactful edition of TikTok. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to continue learning, building, and of course, preparing for the future of technology. Remember that technology will continue to evolve, but the developers who remain curious, that word that came from our guest, adaptable, committed to continuous learning will always find opportunities to succeed. This is a
Yes.
fact.
Yes.
Please follow Tech Tribe on our social media channels and subscribe for updates on upcoming events, webinars, and community activities. Until next time, stay innovative, keep learning, and keep building. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Thank
Thank
you,
you very,
Chisom. Thank you very
thank
much.
you.
I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you very much. Yeah.
You have a lovely weekend. A lovely night, please.